Hey Eva, I'm checking out souvenirs right now. What do you want? What have you been up to without contacting me at all? Huh? Were you contacting me? I didn't notice that. What's up? How can you say that so casually? We're in the middle of a funeral right now. Funeral? What do you mean? Whose? Your daughter. Huh? What do you mean? It was the day my niece Maria collapsed, the day my sister pushed her onto me, saying she was going on a trip. Despite knowing she had a fever, my sister left her child behind and went away. Even though I tried contacting her multiple times, there was no response at all, and by the time she finally did get in touch, it was too late. I felt a strong anger. I've been married for 4 years, but not being able to get pregnant has been a source of concern. Right after getting married, we made plans to start a family and tried many times, but we haven't had any luck so far. My sister had a shotgun marriage 2 years ago, but she got divorced within 6 months. Since then, she has been constantly pushing the responsibility of her child onto me. It's good practice for when you eventually have children, isn't it? So it's fine, right? My sister always says this to me before dumping her child on me. Each time, I feel conflicted. Even so, I've been taking care of my niece because it's not her fault, but being completely disregarded like this is just too much. And now, once again, I'm going on a trip with my friends for a week starting tomorrow, so I want you to take care of Maria again. Huh? Again? Didn't you leave her with me last week? I had work last week, so I couldn't help it, right? Why don't you ask our parents to take care of her at their place sometimes? I have plans too. What kind of plans does a homemaker like you have? It's fine, right? But a whole week is too long. I'll bring back souvenirs, and it's an overseas trip I've been planning for ages, so I can't cancel it. Then why don't you just take Maria with you? It'll be inconvenient with a child around, and I want to enjoy myself alone. You're being selfish, and Maria will feel lonely. I'll leave her to you anyway. Bye. I could only sigh at the one-sided conversation. I decided to talk to my husband about it when he came back from work. Oh, really? Yay. That's why I want you to help too. Sorry, but I'm going on a long business trip starting tomorrow. Really? How long is the trip? About 5 days. If negotiations drag on, it might be a week. So I'll have to take care of everything by myself during that time. It's work, you know. Okay. If it seems too difficult, why don't you talk to your mom? I never imagined I would have to take care of everything alone for a week. At this point, I already felt like giving up. My niece was very attached to my husband. Maybe because her father wasn't around, she saw my husband as a father figure. There was a time when I took care of her, and she cried a lot at night, and I didn't know what to do. At that time, my husband comforted her, but this time I'm alone. I felt very anxious at the thought of going through the same thing again. And on the day of my sister's trip, my husband left early in the morning for a business trip, so I was waiting for my sister alone. All right, bye then, my sister said as she hurriedly left. But at that moment, I noticed something was off with Eva. Hey. Eva, your face looks kind of red, doesn't it? Yeah, she seems to have a slight fever since this morning. What? You're leaving a sick child like this? Well, I've been looking forward to this trip for a while, you know. I can't just cancel. But still, leaving a sick child is not right. At least take her to the hospital. It's nothing serious, don't worry. If you're so concerned, why don't you take her? I really have to go now. I don't have much time until my flight. Wait, it'll be a good practice for you in case your child gets sick. You'll learn a lot. Well, bye. I couldn't believe she was leaving for a trip with a sick child. Watching lethargic Eva, I felt an overwhelming sense of anxiety. Since she was only 2 years old, I couldn't even give her over-the-counter medicine. Fortunately, her fever seemed mild, so I cooled her head and put her to bed. Not knowing what to do, I contacted my mother. Mom, my sister forced me to take care of Maria again. And this time, she's going on a trip. And Maria seems to have a fever. What should I do? Stay calm. Is the fever very high? It's just a slight fever for now. Then let's keep an eye on her. If she has seizures or convulsions, call an ambulance immediately. Got it. If anything happens, let me know right away. My mother's words eased my anxiety a bit, but I couldn't bear the thought of enduring this for a whole week. Just watching her struggle with the mild fever made me feel terrible. And that night, Maria's condition suddenly worsened. As her temperature rose rapidly and she began to suffer, I panicked and called an ambulance. I tried calling my sister too, but for some reason, I couldn't reach her no matter how many times I tried. Why won't she pick up? Could it be because she's overseas? So I contacted my husband, but I couldn't reach him either. There was just an automated message saying the signal was out of range. Feeling overwhelmed with anxiety, I contacted my mother, and she came over immediately. "Mom, what should I do?" "It's okay. We have doctors with us. Don't worry." But despite the treatment, Maria's condition continued to deteriorate rapidly. I kept trying to call my sister every hour, but I couldn't get through at all. And then, 4 days later. No way. This can't be true. I'm so sorry. Maria passed away. A 2-year-old child couldn't even see her mother one last time. I didn't know what to do anymore, and just collapsed in tears. "It's not your fault. There was nothing you could do." "I know, but still, why isn't she answering the phone? What is she doing? If only I had asked for her accommodation. Maybe things would have been different." Overwhelmed with regret, I reluctantly left Maria's body in the care of the funeral home, despite how pitiful it was. But with no way to reach my sister or husband, I had no choice. My husband's business trip was supposed to end the next day, so all I could do was wait for him to come back. Seeing how worn out I was, my mother kindly suggested I take some rest, and I finally managed to get some decent sleep after 4 days. The next day, I tried contacting my sister again, but as expected, there was no response. My husband, who was supposed to come back, hasn't returned. I began to worry if the negotiations were taking longer, and decided to contact the company he works for. However, I was told that my husband wasn't on a business trip, but rather taking a week off. I had a bad feeling about this. Despite trying not to pay attention to it, I noticed that my sister was close to my husband, just as Maria was attached to him. My husband often called my sister beautiful in front of me, and she would happily respond. Also, whenever my sister left Maria with us, my husband would come home late, and recently, they even returned home together. Once I started suspecting, more and more questions arose. In this incident, they left on the same day, and were absent for the same number of days. Can such a coincidence really happen? I thought maybe there was some evidence, so I checked my sister's Instagram. There, I found several photos from 2 days ago, showing them enjoying room service in a hotel room. And upon closer inspection, I noticed my husband's reflection in the mirror. I was convinced that they were having an affair. Leaving a sick child behind and having an affair with my husband was unforgivable. I saved the photos and obtained divorce forms amidst preparing for Maria's funeral. 2 days later, Maria's funeral was held with only family members present. Why isn't he here? Still no contact. No. Not being at her child's funeral. What kind of mother does that? Unbelievable. Finally, my sister contacted me while our parents were furious. "Hey Eva. I'm at the airport right now, looking at souvenirs. I'll be back today, so I was wondering what you want for souvenirs. I also want to thank you for looking after Maria. What have you been doing all this time?" "What? I was on a trip. I tried contacting you multiple times. Why didn't you respond?" "Huh. Sorry, I didn't notice that because I was overseas. Anyway, is there anything you want? We're in the middle of a funeral, so let's talk later." "Huh. Who's? Your daughter?" "Huh. What do you mean? Maria passed away 2 days ago." "Wait, I don't understand. It's because you left sick Maria behind. She kept calling for you until the end. Mom, you might as well have killed your own child." "Wait a minute. If you can't believe it, hurry up and come back." That night, unbelievably, my sister returned with my husband. Seeing my husband comforting my sister as she broke down in tears while looking at Maria, I felt disgust. "I'm sorry. If I had been there for you. I'm truly sorry. I hate to interrupt your crying, but I have a question." "What?" "I've been contacting you every day since the night you left on your trip. But I never heard back from you." "Why's that?" "Well, I was overseas. My phone didn't work. So, then what's this? I showed my sister the photos from her Instagram. These were posted 4 days ago. If you could post on Instagram, then at least you had internet access at the hotel, right? Well, you were aware of my messages, but you didn't bother to respond because you didn't want to. Isn't that right? And that's why messages remained unread. But the real reason is because you didn't want to communicate with me. Isn't it? That's not true. Then let's ask the other person in this photo. The other person. Hey, you. Did you enjoy your trip with my sister? I zoomed in on the photo and showed it to my husband and sister. Both of them turned pale, and even our parents widened their eyes upon seeing the photo. The reflection in this mirror, it's definitely you, right? What's the meaning of this? Maybe it's just a look-alike. I was on a business trip. I contacted the company you work for. They said you were on vacation. And for a whole week. If that's not you in the photo, then where were you? Well, it seems like you had quite a good time posting a photo like that. But you slipped up, didn't you? I never thought I'd be reflected in such a place. I'm sorry. Finally, they confessed to the affair, much to our parents' fury. Our parents were furious at this. What the hell are you two doing? Leaving your child to go on a cheating trip is absolutely disgraceful. Don't mess around. You're no longer our child. We're cutting ties. We've forgiven you because you're a single mother, but do you know how much money we've given you over the years? I want it all back, but consider it severance pay. I don't want to see your face anymore. Wait a minute, Mom, Dad. Shut up. Don't ever come back to our house again. Eva, help me. What do you want me to say? It's all your fault. You'll have to live with what you did for the rest of your life. I couldn't forgive my sister for disregarding her own child's life, so I coldly told her off. While my sister continued to cry and apologize to Maria, Maria never returned. And of course, I couldn't forgive my husband. You have been sticking by my sister's side through it all. This concerns you too. What do you mean? Please fill them in. We'll talk about the alimony through a lawyer, so be prepared for that. Divorce forms. Why's that? Why? Isn't it obvious? I can't believe you'd lay your hands on your wife's sister. I don't want to be with someone so disgusting. Wait, I'm sorry. Let's dark it out. Excuse me. There's no way I can have a proper conversation with someone who lied about going on a business trip and went on a cheating trip. No, please handle the rest through the lawyer. I submitted divorce forms, and we agreed that my ex-husband and sister would pay a total of $50,000 in compensation. I left the house and went back to my parents' home. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. Don't worry about it. That's right. I'd rather have you here than be with a weirdo like him. Thank you. After that, my sister and my ex-husband got together, but their values didn't align, and they broke up after about 6 months. My sister had to work day and night to pay the compensation, and now she's living in a rundown apartment, barely making ends meet. My husband worked at the company for a while, but when his affair was exposed, he couldn't stand being there anymore. After paying the compensation, I don't know where he went. Well, it doesn't matter now. I'm living a comfortable life without anyone pushing anything onto me. I'm thinking of going on a trip with my parents soon. It feels really liberating to be able to enjoy life like this again. I'm fine being alone for now, but I do hope to find a wonderful partner someday because I still want to have a child.